I'm Nic Barbagallo. I'm the co-owner and co-founder of Thryve Accounting and Advisory Services based in Dallas, Texas. First and foremost, as somebody who is in, you spent your career and you're still in sales and business development. And this has been sort of a new experience for you coming into the world of accounting and finance. What's that been like for you?
Interesting. And it was, and it still is kind of like intimidating when, coming from a place where I feel like I'm an expert into a field where I feel like a complete beginner. It's very humbling. But as just somebody that's interested in learning and growing constantly, it's been really exciting and rewarding to just feel like I'm starting from scratch, even though like the principles and the foundation are always going to be similar in my experience, no matter which avenue you're exploring with sales. There's always going to be staples that are just there. But for this, it's been very different. And I think I want to like just mention how this whole thing got started for my role, at least, because I remember talking to you about a year ago and you were explaining this to me and you were just really excited. And I didn't see it then because I think I just had like this block. As soon as you said the word accounting, I think my brain just shut it down quickly. And that was it for me. I just literally didn't understand what it was. Like I just always understood it from like a standpoint of like compliance and taxes and tax loopholes or whatever. That was always my understanding of it. And then when you explained it to me in a way of helping brands and helping brands grow, it was like this light bulb went off in my brain. And I was like, wait, go on, please. I want to know more about that. Um,
Yeah, they're
and
similar
I,
to me, honestly. So, and I'll be the first to tell you, like the word accounting made me cringe most of my life. In fact, so much so that so I was originally in a finance major when I started in college. My first year, I was like, "Oh, I'm going into finance," and I had a lot of prerequisite and core classes that I had to do, and one of them was accounting, and I hated it. I hated it so much at the time. Like I didn't understand money, quite honestly, at 17, 18 years old, which it's true for a lot of people. And so much so that I ended up dropping that class. And I still once in a while, and actually, no, until last year, I would have nightmares once in a while that I failed that accounting class and that I wasn't able to graduate from college. That's how like visceral that reaction or feeling was about accounting. And still to this day, for most people, when they think of the word accounting or they think of an accounting firm or advisory firm, they imagine this really boring person in a tie and typically like like an older guy. And I'm not disparaging older guys by any means, but there's just like this stigma attached to it, right? And part of what Thrive is to destroy that stigma and to kind of like wipe that slate clean and create a new. And it's like that's why we call ourselves the anti accountant, right? So on every single call, and Tony, you know this, every team call we have on Friday, we start by telling people that we are anti accountants, and what that means is basically the opposite of everything that you had experienced with accounting prior to working with us, right? So typically someone who's just delivering the reports to you and tax time, they show up and ask for a bunch of info. There's not really like a constant cadence. The customer service, if it exists at all, is typically not where it should be, right? So we are very much a people first firm, right? It's the core of everything that we do. I think that's why you've come in and embraced it, despite not having an accounting background or really understanding that world too much. At least when you started, you understand people, and we are like empathy is how we lead, and it's been great. Yeah, would you agree?
100%. And I think I love that the Friday mantra is we are the anti-accountants. I think it's such an interesting thing to lead with, and it's so true. And I remember, I mean, you know how I kind of think and approach problems, but I remember, I think it was like the second day where you were really kind of like explaining Thrive and the approach. It was the following day. I was like, I stayed up till 1 o'clock in the morning just thinking about everything that you talked about. The different approach to Thrive's approach to businesses in general was just so mind blowing to me. And I was so excited. And I was like, Nick, I don't know how you did it. You must be the best salesman on planet Earth to get me genuinely excited about accounting. And I stayed up much later than I normally do. Because outside of that, I'll be snoring by 10 p.m. But I was up till like 1 o'clock in the morning just thinking about all the things that you were explaining to me about Thrive. And I was just fascinated. And I still am because I'm still learning new things every single day. And I'm grateful to have that opportunity first and foremost.
Yeah, and that's exactly why we're recording this. We're not recording this to necessarily be the experts in every single thing. We have a team of experts, which is wonderful, and I'd give a lot of credit to my wife Rhiannon for starting this, right? From starting from nothing, with an idea and a dream, and turning it into a real business in a very short amount of time. And so that it's it's been a wild ride. It's been a trip, and I genuinely get excited about it too. And I'm never going to be the one to get excited about numbers on a spreadsheet or looking at your QuickBooks and seeing this masterful puzzle. That's for the accounting team. But in terms of like the excitement around it, in like a holistic approach, is that we genuinely are able to help people help their businesses grow, right? By providing services in a way that they're not used to. So, I mean, these things have to get done. The bookkeeping has to get done. AP and AR are very important. Having a really strong cash flow model is important, right? And being able to offer fractional CFO services at at a rate that makes sense for these growing CPG brands and service brands and contractors we work with. It's truly rewarding. And I honestly, I spent the first year and a half of just being behind the scenes and hearing Rhiannon talk. And I was genuinely like curious how there was so much laughter on all these calls. So it blew my mind. I'm like, you guys are talking about accounting, yet you're like cracking up every other. She was spending most of the time laughing with her clients, and I didn't get it, but like they're actually solving real problems, but you're able to like add humanity into it and add in like the personality to it, make it fun, right? I think accounting can be fun in the sense that you're working with people and solving problems, right? And enjoying what you do. So it's really cool in that regard.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And I think like you just hit the nail on the head with like the problem solving aspect of it, right? And that's I think probably was like the most important factor that really piqued my curiosity with this. And I was like, okay, the problem solving aspect of this is like really intriguing. Like that's one of my core values, right? Not only as like professionally, but just as a person, right? I love to problem solve always. So to
Yeah,
use
it's
accounting
cool.
as like that base level for problem solving was something that was so foreign to me. Like when you broke that down and you're like, well, yeah, this is kind of base level, right? If you're looking at accounting from a standpoint of like, oh, this is just something that needs to get done, right? It has to be done for tax purposes, but that's about it, right? Instead of using that as information to make your next move, that was like, whoa, that makes so much sense. But I never had that thought occur to me before, learning more about this whole process.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because especially these like emerging brands, specifically in CPG, but also in some of our like light manufacturing clients, some of our contractor clients, they're very, very, very good at what they do, right? They're very good at delivering the service or selling the product that they make or offer, and they're typically running blind, right? And they're typically just like, hey, if the cash is coming in, if we're selling things, then it's working. But then when trying to think of a good example without naming names, but I mean, there's too many to really narrow down one or two. But there seems to be a theme of a client comes in, they start working with us, and there's so much that they just weren't aware of, right? And like these light bulbs go off, and I was probably a month ago, I was able to go into a client meeting at their facility, their manufacturing facility, their CPG client, and they make olive oil. And I was with Rhiannon, and just the organic conversation that came up and the questions that she asked, all of a sudden, like I literally was watching his eyes like just light up, and these moments of clarity for him, and also like I could feel like a relief wash over him. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know what that actually was, but I knew something was missing or I wasn't doing this right. And it was just cool. It was like a complete connection. And I want that for you. I want you to be able to see that when these clients like actually start working with us and it's like, oh my God, there's somebody that's there, they care. And more importantly, or as importantly is how much they care, is that they know what the heck they're doing. And that to me is like, that's why I continue to enjoy this when it's certainly not what I would imagine. I mean, this is probably near the bottom of the things that I would have thought I would be doing at 37 years old, right? It's probably like the bottom 3 or 4 options you would have given me. And
Yeah,
here
and
I
I
am
think
loving it.
just to kind of like piggyback off of that idea too, like I feel like you and I have a really good understanding of the front end of businesses and the processes, the sales process, operations in general. And even then, as like somebody who has a really thorough understanding of the logistics and operation side of things, I never even factored in accounting into the bigger picture, into the equation at all. You know, and I know that I'm not the only one who has that thought process, you know. And I remember asking you about like, you know, what's the capacity of clients that we can work with? You know, like is there a range? And you're like, no, not really. And you'd be surprised at, you know, the accounting state of a lot of these brands, regardless of what they're doing annually. And that's really interesting to me, you know, that regardless of the brands that we work with and just seeing the very different ranges that they operate within, there is like a common denominator when it comes to accounting, you know, and it's like, yeah, everybody has like this very, I don't want to use the word generic, but that's kind of like the only thing that seems fitting is like it's a generic accounting approach versus having the approach from the operational lens, which is,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
very,
no, I'm glad you brought that up because that's something that Rhiannon, the day that she started Thryve, said is something that she wouldn't. There's no room for negotiation on how we work with our clients, which is to to truly empathize and put herself in the shoes of the owner of the business from an operational standpoint, right? So I think that's something that sets us apart from a lot of the other firms, especially any traditional like CPA firm. Forget about that. But even some of the firms that we compete with that have a fractional model like we do, truly understanding operations as a business owner first and foremost, and then applying accounting and finance to that is sort of like a key area that I think well, it's why we continue to get referrals organically from people who are like, yeah, we'll keep sending stuff your way because you think like the business owner and you don't. Here's one thing: what you don't do is just as important as what you do. And what you don't do is talk down to people. We hear that a lot. You explain accounting and finance on this level of we're here to teach you. We're not here to tell you, right? You can throw a rock and find an accountant who's going to tell you what to do. But if we teach you while we're also performing the work, I think it creates this really strong bond. And it's why I mean, I think our retention rate is I don't know compared to our competitors, but it's pretty darn high. And I think a lot of it is because of that, the experience they get with talking with us and just truly enjoying it, but also the teaching aspect of it. We're not trying to to be a service provider or be a company that you have to work with, right? We're a company that you get to work with and that you enjoy working with. You continue to work with us not because we're dangling something over your head that you can't do on your own, but it's like you would rather use us than try to do it on your own because it's not only fun, but it ends up being a really good value anyway, especially as you continue to grow, right? There's no doubt that I mean, especially compared to hiring in-house, right? So let's talk about that for a minute. If you compare, I know you've been talking to a few prospective clients about, and they're like, oh no, we're gonna hire in-house potentially, and we think there's a reason to still keep a person like hired by the company in house, and you know what I'm saying. That was not a very clear sentence, but there's a huge reason to at least explore the fractional model, and that is one, it's going to be a lot cheaper, right? There's no overhead, there's no salaries, there's no benefits to pay, there's no 401k plans, anything like that. And on top of the savings, which is important, right? We are here to 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 transact and to create value, and saving money is certainly a great way to do that. But when we can apply years of experience, over 20 years combined experience in CPG, and I think it's like 12 or 13 years combined experience in service and contractor and B2B businesses, you're getting more than what you pay for without sounding cheesy. Does that make sense?
yeah. And I mean, another layer to that too is like eliminating that learning curve. right? So if you have somebody that has just a general understanding of accounting, does that apply to your business? And then I think one of the biggest layers to talk about too, and are you finding a good match? You know, you and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago and just like working in management and the interviewing process, which is just daunting, the training aspect, the hiring process. And if you do everything right, somebody checks all the boxes, you think they're perfect, and then they come to work for you and you're just like, this is not it,
Yeah. It's
and
happened to
that's
me a
very
bunch.
common. It's so hard to find just good work in the year 2026. So if you've done your due diligence, you've done everything right, you think you found your rock star new hire and you're 30 days in and you're just like, this is not it. This is not,
Yeah.
this doesn't reflect the interviewing process that we went through. What you said you did is not happening here. Your work ethic that you described, you're 15 minutes early and now you've shown up 30 minutes late and one day you no call, no showed. That's more common than not, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, it's a really good point. And well, I just use my own experience of late. I had to go and source and hire an accounting manager because we're growing and it's great. It's wonderful. It's a blessing. I put out that LinkedIn job posting and got 180 resumes. And I only had the job up for 2 days, 2 or 3 days. I had to pause it because I was like, I can't handle this. There's no way I can do it. And I mean, I guess I was lucky that we found a diamond in the rough, but there was, I mean, I spent, if I had to quantify, probably 80 hours worth of time looking through resumes, interviewing people. I mean, I spent a ton of time. It could have been more for all I know. Cause I mean, I would be at night at home looking at resumes on my phone in bed. Right. So, and then I mean, like I said, the person that we hired turned out to be wonderful, but there's always a big risk, right? So not only are you spending all that time trying to find that person, they then need to show up and deliver what they said and promised they would do. And sure,
100%.
of course it happens, right? But what if you can have an opportunity to hire a fractional controller or a fractional CFO from a firm that lives and breathes and has a ton of experience specifically in the industry that you are in with very minimal risk, right? If we're terrible, you you can leave. We're not going to hold you in for this long contract and force you to pay us for services that we aren't performing, right? So there's very little risk. You can always go back and hire that full-time person after and lose relatively little time in doing it. But of course that doesn't happen or that hasn't happened because we end up actually wowing most of the clients we work with, right? I don't want to say we're all that and we have everything figured out because we certainly don't and that's not our approach. But I think you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And it kind of feels like a cheat code, honestly, to be able to like bypass that whole entire process. And it is just daunting. It's even from your experience most recently, right? To spend 80 hours, to spend 2 full work weeks just sifting through resumes and then trying to compute all of that into like what resonates with you. Would this be a good fit? And then getting on the phones and spending what 30 minutes to an hour on every call, right? At least because that you have to. You can't. Someone could BS you in a 10-minute phone call
Sure.
like it's the easiest thing in the world. So you really have to kind of spend your time and do your due diligence, and it's tough. That's a grind in and of itself.
Yeah. By the way, while you're trying to grow your business and run your business day to day, like forget about it, right? That's tough. So yeah, I mean that's one of the cool things that we can provide, right? Is to fill something in pretty quickly and oftentimes exceed even the best of hires, internal hires, right? It's pretty cool. It really is. And again, like our team is fantastic, right? And you've got a chance to work with everybody a little bit at least, or get to know them a bit. Which you tell me, right? We have some
I
pretty cool
love
people,
that
right?
like everybody has like their own specialty. It's so cool to me to just like watch and see, and it's just like it feels like this giant collaborative ecosystem. And there's not any ego. If there's room for improvement somewhere, like let's utilize Nathan's strengths. Let's call to Dyer to see his approach to this. Let's let's call on Cassie to see how she would maybe approach this slightly differently. And I love that. I'm a big fan of just collaborations in general and without having any ego, like, oh, this, because I feel like that's kind of like commonplace when it comes to accounting, just from things that I've seen and interactions that I've had. It's just like, well, this is the way it's done and this is the way it's always been done. And it's like, okay, there's some truth to that. Yeah, this might be the way that it was done and the way that it always has been done, but there's always room for improvement, right? And I feel like something that we were talking about on the call last week is your vibe attracts your tribe, right? And
Yeah.
I think starting from like everybody on this team, like everybody wants to learn and grow, and we attract those brands that are scaling quickly and they want to just operate super efficiently. They want to be just operating at the highest level possible to support that growth.
Yeah. That's cool. It's really fun. Yeah, every single person on our team has, I mean, just like some really deep experience in certain areas. And the way that we work, our retainers, the way that they're set up, sure, you'll have a dedicated accounting manager or bookkeeper or whatever the retainer is, all the way up to a fractional CFO. However, we're not set up to where you only can work with them and we're not going to bounce ideas off others. We collaborate, and there it's almost daily where Rhiannon's like, well, so and so client needs to talk with this person because they have experience in here and they have a connection here. So we're not, it's like we're not set up to be the most efficient, profitable company in the world, right? We're not. We're set up to provide the best possible service to our clients. And if we can do that and also maintain a profit level, great. Like certainly we have to do that to run a business. And that's what we're selling to our clients too, that we're going to set you up with that. But my point is it's it's fit over profit, right? It's get the job done over squeeze every dollar you can, right? It's that's why we transitioned away from hourly billing into these fixed fee engagements for most of our clients. There's a reason for that, so that we can do that. We have the opportunity to bring in everybody in the team and like you said, just like bounce off ideas from other people. The collaboration's cool. I love it. I mean, I don't know. Why life is well, it's long and it's short, but it's too damn short to just work with people that suck, right? We've all been
Yeah.
there.
Yep. 100%. Speaking of
Yeah.
that, you just kind of reminded me about this whole idea for starting this little series on, educating business owners and brand owners onto what we're doing here. And it's not coming from a place of, this is what you should be doing. You're not doing it because you suck. And if you don't want to suck, DM us or email us. And we're like, no, there's like, as coming from a standpoint of somebody that loves to learn, I've been getting so many of these videos into my algorithm. And I was telling you this morning, I'm like, I could not be less interested in what somebody has to say when the premise of that video starts with that context, right? And it's demeaning and it's demoralizing and it's like made to make you feel dumb and I'm smart and you're not and I'm right and you're wrong. And that's for me and my own learning styles, that does not resonate with me at all. As a person professionally, it just does not, and it never sticks. And it's interesting because I'm still in this place of like so eager to learn. And I'm like, yeah, I do want to see other perspectives and understand someone else's thought process, but it's really limiting when I'm approached with content in any sort and I feel that right off the bat and it just doesn't make me feel good. And I'm turned off immediately. And I'm like, there could be like so much information here that could be valuable to me, but you lost me in the first 5 seconds, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's something to be said in this attention economy of grabbing and hooking you in, right? So and things that are jarring typically do that. So I guess I can understand where those come from, but I don't like. I don't think I've ever clicked a learn more button on an ad
Not
after
once.
seeing a video of some bro talking down to me about how experienced he is in finance and how many degrees he has, and it happens more often than maybe most would know. I mean, especially if you're on the hunt. If you're looking for an accounting or a fractional finance team, you're going to be there's a lot out there. There truly is. And everybody these days seems to say that they're a fractional CFO, right? In fact, there's a ton of like workshops going around the internet where like, hey, you don't have to have any finance background at all to sell CFO services. And I think that's crazy. That's dangerous, honestly. And in a lot of those ads I'm seeing, I'm like, man, I don't believe you. And even if you are credentialed the way you say you are, I don't know. Like vibes are important, right? And working with people that are gonna like make you feel better, make you better, right? That's important to me. And we will never lose sight of that. Like, in fact, Tone, and I think I've told you this, but I'll say it again for whoever may be listening to this. The reason or the genesis of Thryve was Rhiannon working for another fractional firm and private equity coming in and buying them and then destroying the essence of what that company was, right? And that's unfortunately we're in a world where private equity has a lot of power and a lot of control. And I'm not here to say that PE is not can't be done in a good way, but it doesn't have the best stigma attached to it right now, and for good reason. So I guess my point in saying that is like, yeah, man, like if we can put out some content like this and then just I don't know, give someone a good vibe, I think that's pretty cool. Doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that was another huge aspect that really kind of drew me in, you know. I remember talking to you like really early on, and you just really kind of like doubled down on people first. And that really just struck a chord with me because that's like a core value that I've always had and I always will have. I'll never let that go. That's a standard for me. You know, you have to put people first. Yeah, profitability as for any business is always going to be there. But I think when you have that core value of people first and helping people, and every time that you explained Thrive to me, you always explained it in a helping way. Hey, we helped this brand understand this, which helped here. And I was like, whoa. And that really, I was like, oh, they're onto something incredible here. And I have to get involved. I have to. Like, it wasn't even, I was like, I have to, you know? And I think that's really incredible too. You know, I feel like I like when new opportunities happen organically. And this is just a huge example of that. You know, I was just like so excited. I still am, you know, every day there's something new that pops up and I'm like, man, I'm really grateful to be a part of this. I remember in the
Thank you.
beginning, I, I used to think that I was just annoying y'all so much because I would always just text the group chat and I'd be like, y'all, I thought about this and I thought about that. And I was like, man, I'm just really excited and grateful to be a part of this. Thank you so much, you know? And I think I must have sent that out like a few times a week. It's still true. I just don't bug you guys as much over
Yeah.
text. But
No, it's cool. No, I mean the gratitude is, I mean, it goes both ways. I mean, if the only thing you ever did with Thrive was bring like this positive energy and this vibe that like I there's not a better word than it. Just there's a vibe. Like you've you've changed the culture a little bit. You have, right? I mean, just take our weekly team calls. I mean, there's a much more positive, much more I don't know. You tell me what it is. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just who you are. So,
yeah,
I don't
and I think that that's another thing that just kind of happened organically with me just being in sales. And you know better than anybody, sales can be very cutthroat. It's very dog eat dog for some salespeople. And that never, ever resonated with me. Because I think there's negativity there at the root of it, right? If you are rooting for me to do poorly so that you can do better, hmm,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yes, I saw a lot of that in medical device
sure. You
all the
know,
time.
I've seen it consistently, and that was like kind of a goal of mine. I think it started like a decade ago, maybe a little bit more. And I would sit in on these meetings and I would genuinely say, hey, I hope that it's a positive day for all of us. And people would get mad about that. They would. They thought I was being sarcastic. And I'm like, no, I hope you have a killer day today. I really do. I hope you crush it, you know? And that really developed into this thing and into this mantra of just setting that intention every single day. It doesn't have to be cutthroat. we could all do really well, all of us. And we deserve to, right? Like if you work hard and you show up and you're there for people and you do what you say you're there to do, why can't we all do well? You know?
Yes. No, I completely agree with you. Like rising tides raise all ships, like that mentality versus the scarcity
Yes.
mentality, which so many people have. And I think it's based in fear. And I get it. Like I can understand where it comes from. I was that at one point. When I was 21 years old, right out of college, starting in pharma sales, I'm like, I'm gonna step all over everyone and I'm gonna win, win, win. Right. And I did that for years. And by the way, I succeeded in doing that in that mentality. But what did it leave me with? It left me with, well, not a lot of people that I could call and collaborate with when I was struggling with a certain client, right? They're like, "No, I'm not gonna help you. You clearly are just here to win and make as much money as you possibly can." And fortunately enough, like time and different things humbled me, and I was able to see the light, for lack of a better word. And now, like, man, I can't imagine doing that. And you don't have to be that way to succeed. And quite honestly, I think you can be more successful, maybe over a longer period of time, in doing it the what I consider to be the right way. And I know you agree with me completely on what the right way is to do it.
Couldn't agree more. And that
Yeah,
is like it's putting people first. It really is. And it's I don't think it's like rocket science, you know? Like people have always been like, you're such a good salesperson. How do you do it?" And I'm like, I don't even feel like I'm a salesperson, to be honest with you. I feel like I'm a good problem solver. I feel like I'm a good listener, and I feel like I'm honest. And
yeah,
that's it. That's like the whole recipe. That's the whole handbook there. It's not anything crazy. I'm not, you know what I mean? That's all it is. And that's all that people want. And I feel like in today's day and age, people want that more than ever, you know, because that we're in that attention span world right now, right? Where we have such limited time. So to be able to connect with somebody and hear them and really understand what they're experiencing, what are their problems, what are their pain points? How can we help you? You know? And we're not
yeah,
always going to be there, right? Like this was something that was huge for me and I loved it. Where we're just like, not everybody's going to be a good fit. It's not. And you could say there's plenty of other firms that are out there that are just like, hey, if you're willing to pay us, we're going to work with you.
yeah. A lot of 'em.
A lot of
Yeah,
them. Right? Like from a business standpoint, sure, that kind of makes sense, right? If you're there to just make money and somebody wants to give you money, yeah, you're going to do that.
sure. Yeah, it doesn't tend to work out very long. And
Mm-mm.
we've gotten more than a handful of clients that came from these other bigger firms that promise the world, and they're like, "Oh, we're the cheapest and we're the best." Like, okay, cool, great, and they hook them in, and then they are begging to get out of those contracts, right? And oh man, I look, I know like this, the it's not the what am I trying to say? Money is tough for a lot of people and businesses right now. There's no question. This isn't the best economy we've ever had in our lifetime, and certainly not in the last 100 years. However, there still is room, and maybe you gotta work a little harder to find it, but there is room to find that balance where it's like, yeah, there's excellent people that provide excellent service, but you also enjoy working for them, and it's in a price point that, while it's not the cheapest, it feels good when you pay them, right? You know what I'm trying to say? Like there's companies that I pay, and I'm so happy. Take my money. Like, you provide a service, I am so happy to pay you because it's just like I would pay you more, that kind of thing. And that's what we're after, right? And I don't know. I think we're onto something with that. And I hope we can look back in a couple years from now and say that we didn't change this belief system at all. We actually doubled down on it and we're able to grow because of it. I
Yep.
think it's possible.
I think this is a good segue if you're open to it to because it was so inspiring to me to hear about this journey for you and just talking about the fear and the scarcity mindset for you and your own personal leaps with Thrive. You made one of the most inspiring jumps that I've ever seen, and you did it way quicker than you even anticipated to. And I remember when you called me that day because you had set this goal for June, and then you called me, and I was like, Nick, I was like, I'm literally smiling ear to ear right now, and I couldn't be happier. And I'll let you, I'll let you tell your story.
Yeah. So, well, thank you for saying that. Yeah, I mean, I put in 15 years in medical sales, and I learned a lot, and I met a lot of great people, and was able to make a good amount of money for my family and all that blah blah blah. But I mean, probably the last 5 years I'd become like disillusioned by it. And there was just something missing. And with I guess the funniest or the most ironic part is like these last few years have been the best years in terms of like how much money I made or did I win X award or blah blah blah, right? So it's like there's like this imbalance. Like, hey, on paper you're killing it, you're doing really well, you've I don't know, blah, you know what I mean, blah blah blah. But there was like something missing, and I don't know, I just didn't feel like I was helping people. I mean, I was selling things, I was helping the companies that I worked for, I was helping my family and that I was making money, but, like, at the end of the day, I was selling an overpriced drug or, like, these devices that maybe weren't even that great to begin with, and I don't know. I think you get what I'm trying to say, but I just had, like, this it wasn't even a positive, it wasn't like an epiphany. In fact, it was, like, the complete opposite. I was starting to, like, feel really bad inside, like, there was something, like, screaming at me internally, like, "What are you doing? Like, is this what you're gonna do the rest of your life? Make as much money and win as many awards as you can in sales, and then, I don't know, become whatever, director, VP of sales." Like, is that what you want, or do you or is there a different approach? Is there a different way? And Brianna, luckily and fortunately, and I mean, truly, like she provided something for me that is nothing short of like a blessing, right? She was able to work her butt off to create something like a real meaningful business to where I had that opportunity. I had that option. And not to say that I would have never done it on my own, although honestly, I don't know that I would have. But it got down to the point where I'm like, I'm going insane doing this. I don't feel like I'm helping people. I'm disillusioned by the healthcare system. I can't believe like that this is the America that I'm paying taxes in for this type of healthcare. And not to get down like too far into that, but I don't know. I felt sick inside for a long time. So one day she's like, "What are you doing? Like, just do it. Just quit. Just do what you've said you wanted to do since I met you, right? Is like work for yourself. Like be a part of something where you feel good and you feel important and you're able to help people every single day." And she wrote that resignation email for me. She typed it up. There's no way I was going to do it. In fact, like I was feeling sick at the thought of doing it. And I mean, not to get like overly personal, but like I was like the anxiety that I felt was, I mean, it was making me sick. And I'll never forget. And she's a truly the last manager I had in my medical sales career, so to speak, and was with an awesome company with some of the best people that I had met. Right, and it was just unfortunate, I guess, that that was the end of the line for me, where I actually met a group of people that I could see myself working with and for, but I sat down across from her at lunch, and I'm, like, shaking. I feel awful. I'm like, I think I could pass out, and I don't know in hindsight, I don't know why that was there other than maybe, like, a sign from God, you know? I don't know, and you know this, I'm not, like, the most religious person, but I've certainly found God, whatever that is, in the last couple of years, and it's been great, but I just yeah, I'm like, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but this is I know it's I don't by the way, I'd only been there, like, 3 weeks. We just got through training, we're about to launch the product, and I'm like, "I'm sorry. I can't do this. Like, this is it for me. I'm out, and I'm not coming back." And she's like, "Well, are you going somewhere el" "No, I'm going out of this industry completely. I'm gonna go work with my wife. I'm gonna go work with my friends. I'm gonna go work with people that want to be there versus have to be there." And yeah, the rest is history, I guess. It's not been the easiest transition, like, and you know this, like, there's some days where I'm like, What am I doing? What did I do?" But thankfully, those are becoming farther and further between, right? Like, they're actually, it's not really happening at all anymore, and now I'm like, how do we spread this to more people? Let's go into the cigar industry because there's a massive opportunity and we understand COGS and inventory as well as anyone in the industry within the accounting and finance industry. Let's go after that. And I think like, tell me about that because this is your brainchild. This is your idea. Like, where does like this passion for cigars come from? Do you know?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's just like one of those things where it's just, I think it's just like the right place at the right time type thing. I think that like everything happens the way it's supposed to happen, you know? And you and I have had like really powerful, profound conversations this year, probably more than I've had in the last 10 years, you know? And there's been a lot of spiritual growth for the two of us. Even just, I remember that I want to piggyback to what you were talking about before because
Please.
I remember you seemed like you like purged this thing that was just kind of like taking away some of your light for a really long time, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that made me like I remember when you called me that day and I was like, "Nick, I'm literally smiling ear to ear right now and I'm so happy for you." Like not only professionally, but as a man, you seemed lighter right away. Like, it was an immediate thing. Like, I remember, like, just hearing that phone call, and I was like, "Oh, that's ahead of schedule," because your goal was, like, I think it was end of June, and you were, like, months ahead of that, and I was like, but I could hear it in your voice, and you were just, like, back, you know? Like, you let go of a lot of this stuff that was just kind of maybe not the best for you. Like, yeah, you're able to have some really amazing accomplishments and provide for your family. And I think as men, we're kind of like programmed to be in that mindset, you know, like we have to be providers and we have to excel and be great at whatever we do. But when it's taking more than it's giving, that says something, you know?
Yeah, man. Thank you for saying that. I'm getting a little emotional, but yeah, it was killing me, and I'm glad you noticed it because I did. I don't know. Even like a day to day, I don't really notice the difference. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, I don't know. I didn't mean to cut you off if you're gonna keep
No,
going, but
that was my biggest point, you know? And yeah, I do. I think a lot of it is God. I really do. And I wish that there was a easier way for me to put that into words. And you know me better than most people know me, you know, and I haven't really been very religious or spiritual most of my life, you know. In the last year, I'm really it's been so crystal clear to me that that's kind of like the only thing that I could equate that to, you know. And if you're fortunate enough to have that understanding, I think you know what we're talking about, you know. But I wish that there was a different way that I can kind of explain these things. And even with like cigars, it seems silly because it's just like this thing, right? It's just like leaves rolled inside of another leaf, but it's there's similarities with all of the things that I'm interested in, right? Where it's like my interest in the past like 10-ish years, right? I'm always interested in things that help me turn my brain off, right? Like you and I have talked about this a lot. Like if I talk about music or golf or martial arts, I'm always able to just like turn my brain off and just focus on that. And another layer of that is it doesn't matter who you are, what your background is, it's the love of this that creates this community. And I noticed the same thing with cigars. You know, I could be anywhere in the country and I was traveling way too much for the last few years. Sometimes it was like 3 weekends a month, I'd be anywhere in the country. And I would always try to just like find a cigar lounge because I could kind of disconnect and unplug from everything else. And I'm like, I could go sit here with somebody that might be an attorney and that loves cigars, or somebody that might be a plumber and loves cigars, somebody that could come from any walk of life and we're all united from the love of cigars. And that's all I think that's kind of like what really pulled me in. It's the community aspect of everything.
yeah, I get that. I get that. For me, that's Magic the Gathering, right? I just joined a Discord server the other day for a very niche. So you have like Magic the Gathering is this big game, and then you have Commander, which is like this really popular way to play Magic the Gathering. And then within that, you have different brackets, different tiers of like competitive play, all the way from like, okay, you're just horsing around, you just figured out what Magic is, and that's bracket one, all the way up to bracket five, which is called CEDH, which is competitive. And that CEDH stands for Competitive Elder Dragon Highlander. I believe it's Highlander. Anyway, it started when like the first set of legendary creatures came out and they were elder dragons. So that name is kind of like it's it's an outdated name, but it's just what it's known as. So anyway, this Discord server is just CEDH based, and even more narrowly, just one single card it's based on, the commander Marnius Galgar, which is happens to be like my favorite commander to play within in Magic, right? And like instantly in joining that, I felt home. You know what I mean? It's like I've instant connection with people. And we were like just skip through so much of the BS, which is like our world right now. And it's like all this other trying to impress people and this, that, and the other thing. And just like, nah, we're here for one reason. We all love this thing. And kind of like cigars and golf for you and guitars and music, right? I found that with Magic and I have it in a few other areas, but if you can combine that, which is like this just visceral passion for something, and then turn it into the work that you do as well, right? Like, I don't know that I have an angle with Magic and accounting necessarily, and maybe there will be, but like cigars right now, not only is there like a growing movement and like a younger generation starting to embrace cigars and embrace on like this new the lounge aspect, right? You used to think of a cigar lounge as like old retired people just smoking cigars and talking news or politics, right? I think that's changing, right? Like from what I've seen and what you've told me about, there's a
Yeah,
shift. What's
there
that
is.
shift? Where do you where's that come from, you think? Is it the community? Or is it
I
like
think
people just all of a sudden love nicotine, cigars, and
so.
smoking? I don't know.
I think the community aspect is just like kind of something that's like deeply rooted into cigars, you know? But I think there is like, there's definitely like something that happens with nicotine in general, right? Like I'm a big fan of nicotine. I've been a fan of nicotine for a really long time. This, in my opinion, is like the healthiest way to enjoy nicotine. In my opinion, I have like no cardiovascular effects from
You're
this. I'm
not a
not
doctor?
like, no, I walk 18 holes of golf every time that I play, almost exclusively. This is like the only form of nicotine that doesn't like slow me down, right? There's no like heaviness from smoking as you're not inhaling. And with that, there's also like a big cognitive benefit from this. I always feel like sharp and inquisitive and I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I'm sure there is some sort of like scientific
There's a lot,
neural
actually.
pathway that comes from nicotine. But yeah, it does. It just kind of encourages really thoughtful and insightful conversations with cigars. And you said something huge where it's one of those avenues where you can skip all of the BS. There's no need to impress anybody. It's like, what do you do for work? But you don't really care what I do for work. You just want to know what I do for work so that you can judge me for a quick second and see if I'm
Yeah.
qualified enough to hold the conversation with you, which is always weird, you know? That always comes like secondary, you know, when you're having cigars, like, what do you do? Like, oh, what do I do to make money? This is what I do to make money. And that's always really cool, you know? So all of the things that we as a society put in the forefront to make ourselves seem presentable and likable and all of these things that are really insignificant are always secondary in the world of cigars, which is I really enjoy that. Like we could dive into a really cool, deep conversation, then everything else is just ancillary.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm
No,
sure it's the same thing
that's
with
cool.
magic and same thing with golf and martial arts and
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, it is. This isn't like this revolutionary thought process or thinking, but it's I don't know, I feel like it as I get older, it's harder to make friends and meet the people that you like really want to connect with and spend time with, right? We don't have a lot of time, especially if we've got kids and we have a life and there's so much going on. Like where how are you going to spend your time, right? And if you can find something that like it just feels right and that for you is cigars, I think it's cool. And what I think is interesting is like the data on especially like these smaller boutique brands, they're doing well. There's some growth and there's like I don't know. It's cool. It's cool to see it happening, and it's like I don't know. Besides being at a golf course or hanging out with my buddy who likes whiskey, I didn't really hear about cigars very often until talking to you. And you like you told me earlier, like wow, you made accounting sound fun. You made cigars sound interesting to me. And I mean I've smoked not a lot of cigars. I don't know, probably like 30 cigars in my whole life and never had like the best experience. But now, like the way that you've explained it and the people that you can meet and the connections that you can have, I'm interested in exploring again. And maybe I just wasn't doing it the right way. Like you said, first of all, I don't drink enough water. So there's that.
There is
But
that. And I think, yeah, I think it's you could be kind of like a pioneer or you could be a gatekeeper. And like for me, if I'm really gravitating towards something, I want to share that with other people. And I'm like, hey, I really like this. And I think that you might like this as well. And I have to credit my good friend Justin Sweat because he did the same thing to me. He wasn't a gatekeeper, he was a pioneer. And we were working together in Rhode Island. And I was just like doing the disposable vape route at the time, which was like just terrible, but I like nicotine. And I remember we were talking on the phone and he goes, we have to hit a cigar lounge. And he goes, I know you said he had a cigar and it wasn't the best experience. He goes, let's just go to a lounge and just trust me. He goes, I'll kind of show you like the basics to smoking a cigar. And if you don't like it, just toss it and we'll leave. And I was like, you took away all the stress. You took away all the anxiety, everything that would have like prevented me from like wanting to go there and enjoy it. And I went there and he kind of just gave me the basics on smoking a cigar. And we got into like this really deep, spiritual, profound conversation. And I finished my first cigar and I was like, I kind of want to smoke another cigar if you're if you're down. And he's like, yeah. He goes, welcome to the club. And yeah, I didn't stop smoking cigars that night. And it was just like there was this cool experience. And I try to do that with people all the time. If I think that they might be interested, I'm like, let's have a cigar with me if you're interested. You know, like if you don't like it, just throw it out. You're not going to offend me or anything, but at least I would like you to at least explore it and see if it's something that you're interested in because I'm interested in it. And I think that you might be, you know?
yeah, yeah, no, I get that completely. So I started playing Magic in high school and I would like sneak away and I was like, I don't know, ashamed of it, I guess, because it was, like, not the cool thing to do, and we'd go to this place and it was like it could have been called Gatekeeper, honestly, like, they did it was not a very welcoming place, and we didn't stay there that long, and but fast forward to when I started playing again for real, which was, like, I think 3 years ago at this point, and my friend who I met through, both of our kids went to the same daycare, right? And he it came up, we were all together one time and he and the Magic the Gathering came up and he was like, "Oh my god, I don't even know if I should talk about it." I'm like, "You play Magic?" And then he's like, "Yeah, I play Magic," and he's very, very good at it. And his name's Brandon. He's an awesome person. And more importantly than being a cool dude, he's very good at Magic and very good at explaining it. So he explained it in a way and he made it inviting and welcoming. And I've been to a couple like conventions now and I'm looking forward to going to another one in September. And I don't know, I've fallen in love with it. And it took somebody to like reintroduce it to me in a way that wasn't exclusive. And it wasn't like, oh, if you're not part of this geek culture and you don't look like this or you don't have whatever, XYZ thing, you can't play. And luckily like that is being wiped away from Magic right now. And it's really cool. There's so many people like I mean, Post Malone is probably the best and most, like, popular example. The dude is, like, obsessed with Magic the Gathering. He's really good at it, and he tries to play as often as he can, but he's also one of the nicest people in the world, and, like, his status has brought in many, many new people to the game, and also, like, these crossovers with they call it Universes Beyond. There's a bunch of new sets now, like, The Hobbit just came out a couple days ago, like, that's really cool. There's millions of people who love Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and they get to share in that, and before that was Marvel, and there's all these new players that come from the love of Marvel Comics and the Marvel Universe, and now they're into Magic. And a lot of like the OGs in Magic don't necessarily love all these different crossovers, but
Sure.
ultimately it's making the community stronger and bringing new people in and getting rid of that like that gatekeeping mentality that boy is it's there for a lot of things, but Magic was a big gate kept game for a long time.
And I'm sure you'll still probably see glimpses of that, right? And it's like,
Of course.
I think I think ego probably comes into play, right? Where it's like something that's not like super mainstream. And it's like, oh, I've been enjoying this for way before it became even popularized. And because I did that, I don't think that it should get to this level. And that's like just the weirdest
Silly.
mindset ever. And you kind of brought up a thought process kind of in real time as you were explaining this. And I think there's like a similarity between accounting, right?
Yeah. Talk
How
to me.
often is that like gate captain? It's like, oh, if you don't have an advisory firm or that's in your circle or somebody that can kind of give you all of that knowledge that you should be privy to, you wouldn't have a way in, right? And it's not inviting if and in most different ways that it's presented to us, it's not inviting. Even like earlier in this chat, I was talking about like even just the ways that have popped up into my algorithm. I'm just like, I'm not interested. Like even if you're the most knowledgeable person, I like you make it so that I don't really want to learn from you. You know, it's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound inviting or welcoming or like you actually want to help people. You just kind of like want to assert your dominance in this specific industry. You know, which is just weird.
Yeah. There's a lot of that in everything. And yeah, it's not certainly not excluded in accounting. But it's cool. And part of why we're doing this, and I look forward to this like kind of weekly cadence where we're gonna teach the audience, whoever's gonna be watching these, about some of these, I guess, like very abstract topics and anyway, what I'm trying to say is the goal of this is to teach, right? As we learn, right? So we're not coming from this expert talking down to you on the high horse. It's like, hey, we're going to learn something and we're going to share it with you. And if it resonates with you, let's have a conversation about it. And if not, thanks for watching, and we'll continue to just put out what we consider to be good content and try to teach some topics and try to destigmatize like I don't know, most people when they think of accounting, even business owners, they cringe, right? I want to take away that cringe. I want to make it so it's like, make accounting fun again. I don't think ever accounting was ever fun. I was trying to make, you get it, a play on words, but it's like, hey, if we can make it fun and inviting and interesting, like that might be cool. And maybe, and even would be the ultimate, like the best possible outcome could be we inspire somebody to start their own business, to leave corporate America. I would love that. Like that part of my life's work someday when I'm older or even maybe it starts tomorrow. I don't know. At some point I would love to encourage people to take a risk on themselves, right? Like the illusion of corporate America, it's it's not it's not pretty anymore. Like I do you know what I mean? I mean, I'm
Yeah,
kind
and
of
I think
rambling at
that
this
journey's
point.
already started for you. To be honest with you, I mean, you've inspired me in so many different ways, and I know that you've inspired other people, even if it's just from a format that you probably wouldn't even recognize as motivating somebody or inspiring somebody, but even just like you being very open and honest and vulnerable online, which is like where most of us get our information nowadays. Like, I know for a fact that you've inspired people. You've inspired me. You continue to inspire me. So I think that journey's already begun, and it's really cool that that'll still be kind of like at the forefront for you, just like moving forward. Like, yeah, it is. It's kind of a trap, and there's so many other avenues to explore. And I think connecting your passion with how you make a paycheck is probably the ultimate goal, And yeah, we want to share with everybody that watches this kind of in real time. We are very much learning as we go. We are not I am not an expert and I will never claim to be, but I thoroughly enjoy learning and I think it's going to be helpful to kind of share some of these things that we learn with everybody in real time and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, me too. And luckily, like while neither of us are accounting experts or finance experts by any stretch of the imagination, there's 7 other people that work for Thryve. So that's comforting as well, right? So
Yep.
yeah, it's pretty
And I think
cool.
it'll be
It's
cool,
cool.
although we're not like experts in accounting, we have both had really successful careers in sales and with people and experiences. And I think just that aspect on how we learn might be able to inspire somebody or to integrate one aspect of something that we learn into how you operate and run some aspects of your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
I
I
think
think
this
on
was a
that note, let's
fantastic way to kick off this whole series. So I'm
yeah,
grateful for you and I can't wait for the next one.
me neither, man. Well, we will talk soon and yeah, we need a good way to end this. This got to be like a little way to end it. Like, what is I'm trying to think of good podcast endings. It's not I mean, this one, we're gonna clip this one down. I don't know that we'll put out this whole hour thing. I don't think that'd make sense, but We could too,
I
but
think we could.
anyway, how do you
Maybe we'll do it like maybe we'll do like a bunch of clips from this one and then just put out the full hour. I would love to even just listen to this back for myself, to be honest with you. Like this was an awesome conversation and I was a little bit nervous coming into this, which is strange because I talk to people for a living and I have for the past 20 years and this was still just
I get it.
intimidating for me. But this conversation was incredible and I can't wait for the next one. And we'll come up with a good appropriate close for the next one. But I think for now, if you've watched any of this or all of this, thank you so much. We appreciate you and we're grateful for you and hope that you catch the next one.
Yeah, sounds good. See you, everybody.
Cool. Bye.